As always, I'm doing this on my own time with my own resources. I am not speaking in my official capacity. I'm going to speak today about an incident at yesterday's tribal council meeting, in particular, the voting of Tim onto the audit committee. As many of you know, in December, I brought up that Tim had a financial indictment, which he went into a diversion program, finished the diversion program, and the charges were dropped on. Usually that would be disqualifying for an audit committee. If you do a Google search on audit committees, they're basically, if you say, do you have any kind of financial indictment, they will tell you that you shouldn't be on an audit committee. In fact, publicly run companies are required to do background checks and disclose if they're adding somebody who has it. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the discussion on that. Again, tribal council did what tribal council did. That is tribal council's right. And well, I would not have supported had I been voting. As the chair, I don't vote. How we went, tribal council does have the right to seat him, and they did. My issue is on a lot of the discussion, it was raised that this was a political thing. And I will say that anything can be defined as a political thing. I have strong feelings that somebody who has a financial issue in their past, and Tim actually has a couple. The other one had to do with not paying an employee when he ran his bikini coffee shop in the mid-2010s. That she had to take him to the state of Washington, get the state of Washington to force him to pay. That was also revealed at the December meeting. I feel that the audit committee should be above all reproach. That is my opinion. Other people can have a different opinion. Their opinion can be that, he served his time. He went through the diversion program. Once he went through the diversion program, the charges were dropped. They have that right to think that way, but that is also a political thing. The fact that they tried to push this through without any disclosure, and I know that Tim was aware of obviously Tim was aware of the charge, but the fact that he had the document where the charges were dropped available for him on his phone so that he could show me at the end of the December meeting tells me that he also knew that I knew. And I only knew because after he was elected, there was a rumor that there was some kind of issue. It turned out that what most people thought it was the bikini coffee bar where he hadn't paid the employee and the employee had to take him to court. But in searching that, I discovered this other one. There are people who feel strongly that, time's been served, we must move on, and that's fine. That is their opinion. That is also a political opinion, and they are entitled to that. When the treasurer of the tribe contacted tribal council members to try and advocate for Tim, that was her right to do that. But again, it is also my right to point out that this was done, and this was done with an attempt. I don't even know if all council realized that this had happened in the past, but an attempt to do it without any revelation to the general counsel. So it has happened, but again, politics are people with strong opinions debating those opinions. In the end, saying that something is political is a lazy way of trying to take somebody else's opinion and saying that you have a complicated opinion on this, but I don't really want to discuss your complicated opinion. I just want to say you're being political. So in the end, Tim is on the audit committee. I think it's a bad decision for the tribe, but that is my opinion. Tribal council has spoken. And for those who want to claim that I did it strictly for political purposes, I did it because I don't think we should have somebody with a financial arrest record or financial indictment record on the audit committee. That kind of defeats the purpose of the independence and the cleanness of an audit committee. But that's my opinion. Others are allowed to have their own opinion. Anyway, that's what's on my mind today. Thanks.